Oh my, I am rolling up one of the tallest volcanoes in the world and looking across at the other one on the other side of the valley. So I had to gear up just a few miles outside of Hilo, put some winter riding gear on so I could bear to be up on the volcano. And this is only about 4,000 feet. This is actually the saddle. You can't see Mauna Loa on the left because it's blocked by clouds. The clouds today are running in between 4 and 5,000 feet, and I'm about to make a right turn here and point the motorcycle towards Mauna Kea, which is my conquest today. Um, this was quite shocking riding up here. As you can see here, got a little bit of residue of the clouds that I passed through, but you can see there's pines at this level right here. There's cows. There's lots of grass, a small stretch, maybe like a half mile of pines, a little ring of pines. This all used to be sugar cane back in the day, back before it was cheaper to grow sugar cane elsewhere in the world. And now all that countryside has been replaced by grasslands and farming. Lots of cattle. Anytime you see grass, there's probably going to be some grazers on it, whether it be cattle or goats. But just about to clear the clouds here, and it's really starting to get cold. I think I'm about 5,000 feet here, and as you can see some blue coming out, but it's like just like driving through a fog bank. If you've been up at altitude before, you've probably ridden through some clouds. Depending on where you are in the world, clouds are at a different level. And today the clouds were between 4 and 5,000 feet. And it's pretty spectacular when you get above clouds. You get out of the nasty weather that comes with it. Didn't get a lot of rain before I came up, but this is typical on the saddle road. It's typically very foggy, very rainy, very cold. So I am at the visitor center on Mauna Kea, on my way up to the observatory, up that dirt road. I was really concerned that all my hopes and dreams were going to be dashed by the park ranger who is running the fence, which is his vehicle. I don't know if you can see it, but that was one of my big fears, is that they were not going to let me up to the observatory, up beyond this point, because it's a dirt road and it's switchbacks and they require four-wheel drive. And I thought, come on, a four-wheel drive motorcycle, they're kind of the same thing. I understand the many reasons why you don't want two-wheel drives, crawling up the mountain, scratching up everything, but he did give me some quizzes, and he's like, what kind of motorcycle is it? It's a dual sport. It's really an adventure bike, but I've been across all the time, and started naming all passes that I've been across. He says, yeah, but this is Mauna Kea. Like, those mountains ain't shit. Which was awesome. But yeah, I haven't been to 14, just under 14,000 feet at the summit, or at the observatory. So I said, I honestly haven't been up that high. It may be different, but I've spent quite a good bit at 12,000 plus feet. So it's not Kilimanjaro, and it's not it's not the Himalayas, but I'm very excited. He told me to hang out here and acclimate for 30 minutes and I could go, which was very exciting news. So I can't wait to get up there. I'm a kid in a candy store. Look, I'm above the clouds already. Can you see that? This is insane. As I mentioned earlier, I was pretty excited about getting to ride up here, and I was very fearful that the rangers wouldn't let me up on a motorcycle. They have their own special reasons, and it seemed like he was much more concerned about altitude sickness than my bike. He did ask a lot of questions about the equipment and all that, and all I did was reassure him that I've been over much more rugged places than this at altitude, and he just asked to see my plate here, so I spun around his vehicle and in second gear. I'm still getting used to the bike, but showed him my tag, And then he gave me the thumbs up once he recorded my tag, and I was on my way in second gear again. And I was kind of shocked. This bike is kind of a pig below 4,000 RPMs, and I had a V-Strom before, but it was a liter bike, and it had a lot more power than this. But I may be forgetting that the power was a lot higher up in the RPMs on that bike too. It just seemed like it pulled regardless, even at 2,000. It just seemed like that other bike pulled. This one just does not. In fact, coming up this hill at this altitude, it just really didn't seem to want to go. I mean, it didn't stutter. It didn't do anything weird. It just didn't have a lot of power, and it probably has a lot to do not just with the altitude, but with the incline. It's really hard to tell what kind of incline we're going up here. I think I read 17%, and I'm not sure exactly where that is. I think that's down beyond where I just came up on the pavement. I think there's a couple of pitches, and that's Mauna Loa over there on the other side of the saddle, and it's 150 feet shorter than Mauna Kea. But Mauna Kea, if you didn't know, is actually considered to be the tallest mountain on Earth, because from the summit to the base of this mountain, which is underwater, from the summit to base, it's 33,000 feet. That makes it taller than Everest, from summit to base. Just, yeah, everybody is going to disqualify it because it's underwater. And I'm going to be annoying about that it is the tallest mountain. I'm just going to keep saying it until maybe somebody accepts it. Here I'm pulling over because I had my bar end weight came unscrewed and things started falling apart. It was a nice chance to just sit and take everything in before I got to the top. And what I did not know, at the end of this washboard road, that's probably the biggest issue I had with this road. It was a little bit slick in a few spots, very powdery, very I would say sandy, but it's not really sand, it's just ground up volcanic ash. And the biggest problem I had with it is it's this very washboardy, which is why I'm riding on the left side of the road, because nobody is spinning their wheels going up the left side except me. So there's not really any washboards over here. And it's a much smoother ride, and I didn't lose my other bar end weight on this side going up. You can still see my windshields popping up and down, but I was just totally stoked to be up here on this mountain. I've been dreaming about this for the last couple of years, hoping for the opportunity, and at the same time being really concerned that they weren't going to let me up. And once you get, I think it's like a 2-mile section of dirt. I'm not really sure why they don't pave this section, but once you get up this 2-mile section, you get more pavement. And this is where I discovered the bike just really didn't want to run at this altitude. It just did not want to climb. And this may be deceivingly higher pitched. It just doesn't look like it when you're up here. It looks like, I don't want to say flat, it looks like a 4 or 5% grade. It may be higher, it may be 8%, I don't know. But the motorcycle just did not want to climb. I mean, it moved, it kept accelerating just really, really slow. And here's the first glance at one of the observatories. I'm not familiar with all the observatories, I just know where the Keck is. And the one on the right, almost in the middle of the frame here, you got 2 small ones on the left, and then the squared off looking one, I think that's the Suzu, Japanese. And then one of the rounded ones, I think that's going to be Keck. I'm still kind of learning everything. I just decided to go circle around to the top. I wanted to get to the top. Didn't know what was up there, but I wanted to get to the top. And I was very excited and just blown away that you can ride on the edge of this volcano. It's just simply amazing. The video is not going to capture any of it. It's, went from sea level, 82, 85 degrees at sea level, and I rolled up almost 14,000 feet, and it's about, I would say it's probably in the 40s when I first got up here, maybe mid 40s, but 40, 50 knot winds, just crazy winds, just steady blowing winds. And all you had to do is get behind one of the observatories, and it was almost like a vacuum. There was no wind, almost no noise, but it was like being in a tornado or a hurricane up at the top. You get up on this peak here and you'll feel the wind. The wind is actually coming from, I'm pointing the bike to actually the direction that wind's coming from. And I've just got one more circle here to get on top. And then once you get on top, you just really feel the wind. It's kind of crazy. It's really surreal being up here. I've said that many times, being on top of mountains that you could see just about forever, it looked like. But this one's just really spectacular because you're riding up here. Most of the ones I've been up at this altitude have been, you know, rugged dirt roads, you know, with stair steps and all kinds of things you got to climb over. But this is just so nice, having this pavement up here in the guardrail and being this close to the edge, and enjoying the wind and the beautiful weather and looking down almost 2 miles to the clouds below. 2 miles. I've never been able to do that before. Most of the mountains I've been in, the really tall mountains, have been in Colorado, and you're either moving through the clouds or the clouds are maybe 2,000 or 3,000 feet below you. No big deal. Been on lots of mountaintops with like an alpine tundra, and this has no tundra. It's just rock. There's nothing growing up here except maybe people. And I'm not sure which observatories these are. I think there's 13 observatories run by 11 different countries, which is pretty cool. But this is when you start getting into the wind. I'm facing into the wind now, just about. So the wind's coming from my right, and it is howling. It's, like I said, 30, 40, 50 knots. And I'm just going to pull off here next to these crazy teenagers that are hanging out around the corner here. Set up my camera to do some time lapse. These kids just got so damn annoying, I just decided to go down. Eventually found the keck, and wound up hanging out the rest of the afternoon. That's the keck down below. Anyway, it's just really shocking to see what is up here. Kind of hard to believe. It's hard to believe I'm actually here. I am on the summit of Mauna Kea at the Keck Observatory, and this is just an insane being up here. It's so much more than I anticipated. I've seen a few videos of people up here. One really impressive video was a guy that was skiing on the slopes here, and it's January. It's the 1st of January, so you know, it's just so extraordinary to be up here and to be looking down on the clouds. I wanted to get this shot first before I cracked a beer, and then I'm going to crack a beer just in case somebody comes out here and goes, "Hey man, you got to crack a beer out here. You got to go." That way at least I got the shots. So a few more minutes of time lapse and then I'm gonna crack a beer. So here's my dinner. Some habanero almonds that have obviously bulged because there's less pressure up here. We're 3 miles up. And some poke, which is ahi tuna in a delicious spicy sauce. I've never had poke before I got to the islands, but this stuff is delicious. And then, of course, my celebratory Maui Big Swell. And it's looking delicious so far. Hopefully I can get it all into my discreet mug before anybody shows up. But in addition, that is Maui over there. So how appropriate that I have Maui Brewing Big Swell. Isn't that cool? Oh, shit. Wow. The bottom and the top are swollen. Watch this. Hope I don't get an explosion of almonds into the face. There, man, that wasn't too bad. Open this like a tuna can. Or what are those? Not tuna, but sardines. Shit. Can't. I am at 15,000 feet. I don't believe, or I'm sorry, 14,000 feet. I don't believe I've ever been up this high. I've been close. And that's my view. I'm doing some time lapse, so you'll get to see some of that. And what's even more amazing is I get to wash it down with the best beer I've ever had at 14,000 feet. This is pokey from a grocery store. People were lined up to get this stuff. So I've got to imagine it was pretty good. But think about getting ahi tuna from a grocery store. I hope it's at least half as good as the pokey that I had the other day. Oh yeah. Cheers from Mauna Kea and the Keck Observatory. The sun is going down, and I'm gonna get my ass off of this mountain before it gets dark and really wet. How do you like my stealth parking? It's freezing up here. Literally, it's really cold. I'm fixing to gear up and go down because it's cold. Let's get it on then. I noticed that there were signs for visitors on the Keck, and this is the whole facility. It's pretty big. I think it's the biggest facility up here. But I noticed a visitor sign, and I decided that I'm going to come back up here and visit and see if I can get me a tour. I also, on the way in, I noticed this little service road back here, and it didn't have any signs, no access, no employees, and it just looked so intense. I decided I had to roll down this thing, and it's just as intense rolling down it as it looks, probably even more so because video never captures what you're looking at. But the thing that kept jumping out at me, other than these amazing views that you don't get coming up, is the fact that I'm actually looking down on a volcano. I'm looking down on a volcano mountain that was built by, I don't know, billions of tons. I don't know how much mass this thing has, but it's magma that's blown out of the Earth's crust is just unbelievable. And circling around the corner here, the intensity even got more. And I wanted to hang out, but it's just too windy on this side. And it was getting colder. I think it was probably mid 40s when I got up to the top. By the time I was leaving, the sun was going down, and it had dropped into, I would say, low 30s. I think it was below freezing because my hands, usually I can tell when my hands get really cold and painful. It's usually below freezing when my fingers start hurting, and it may just been wind chilled, the factor of very cold, but I still think it was either low 30s or below freezing. And I was anxious to get down at a little bit warmer temperatures to relieve the pain in my fingers, which you will see right here. I'm bitching about I can't feel my fingers. It's just amazing that there was that much pain just standing up there. It's been a long time since and here's me bitching about my hands, my fingers. I can't feel my fingers. And this guy thinks I'm waving at him. And it's just trying to get the feeling back in your fingers. You got to be able to control the throttle and the brake, and if you can't squeeze, you can't feel. My hands were pretty numb. And that was one of the pitches. This next pitch, just before we get to the pavement, is pretty steep. But I finally, once I got down below the dirt and the Ranger, I put the bike into gear and coasted to the bottom. And it's something I like to do. You can see that it's a really steep pitch here. It's kind of rare to see roads that go down at this angle. My hands, I can't feel my fingers. My hands. Yeah, I'm coasting here, and there's a lot of traffic coming up. Apparently, the thing to do is come up here and watch the sunset at night. What I want to do is come up here and do some stargazing, because this is supposed to be the place, and maybe get some. What I've always wanted to do is get some nice time-lapse pictures of the stars at night. And I didn't bring the camera that would do that, but I'm going to try with another camera that I picked up here. Hopefully that'll be something I do in the future. There's a little park. There's people that hike up here. That was a parking lot for people that like to hike. So there's a hiking paths up here. I think there's 2 or 3 paths up here. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I get tired and winded up just walking around up here. And hiking is kind of hard for me to imagine going on a long, strenuous hike, especially going up and down stuff. Maybe it doesn't go up and down. Maybe it just goes across. That would be fine. But I think you have to be in pretty good shape. You have to be pretty fit to be able to do hikes at this is probably what, 13,000 feet here. Probably dropped at least 1,000 feet. But you can see we're going down, and it looks like if you took away the ground, it would look like you're flying in an airplane. It's just unbelievable looking that far down to clouds. I've never done that before. It's just amazing, just mind-blowing, really, to be able to come up here. And maybe I'm just a nerd. Maybe I was overwhelmed by the geology. Maybe I was overwhelmed by the science that goes on up here. But I've been waiting a long time to get up on top of this mountain, and I can't wait to go back. And I've already got my sights set on Mauna Loa. On the other side, if you look to the right there, you can see the silhouette of Mauna Loa. It's just 150 feet, I think 153 feet shorter than this mountain, this volcano. And I can't wait to get up there.